Hey, it's Friday, which means it's time to deploy. We've got a new co-host slash guest on today's show, Charlotte, who's a new member of our team. Charlotte, say hi to everyone. How are you?
Hi everyone. I'm Charlotte. I'm a research assistant in the DevRel team at Octopus.
Hey, there you go. So Charlotte's part of the family here. She's like Matt a few months ago. She's our latest and greatest hire. So obviously she's going to get all the drudgery and hard work thrown at her. She's working a lot on our data analysis, etc. So it's exciting to have her on board. And of course, Matt, as always, is joining us here. Matt, how was your week? Everything go well?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, lots of planning at the moment. We're coming into the crazy conference season, as you'd know and love, John. So, yeah, lots of conferences, lots of planning, lots of webinars, lots of end of year, already looking at dates in December, you and I the other day, and, looking
Yep.
at the end of the year already somehow. So, yeah.
yeah. We've got DDD Perth coming up, which we'll talk about in a sec. We've got big events like GitHub Universe. We've got AWS reInvent. We've got KubeCon. We're going to be announcing Shipped soon. That's going to take place in December this year, not November. But all this and more we're going to be talking about over the next, I guess, this episode and multiple episodes as they come aboard. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into the latest news. And Charlotte's going to give us her opinion on takes on stuff and things like that. So we have a new landing page now for the AI Assistant. You'll find it here at /usecase/AI Assistant. And Matt, you and I were involved in this along with other members of the team. We built out a whole bunch of resources, including videos, etc., showing people how this all works. We kind of gave people a high-level view of what this looks like, etc. And so this is one of the typical sort of pages we put together where we have a bunch of videos, etc., as I said, and show people how it works. And so, yeah, I'm glad to have this there. If you're at all curious about finding out more about what our AI assistant does, you can check out this page at /usecase/AI assistant. Any highlights here you want to mention, Matt?
Just that if you want that real snapshot of what it does and the four areas or the four main areas that it helps you today, that is the best place to go. There's links off to that to other documentation. We've got cookbooks, all sorts of other supporting information there as you start to use it. But yeah, if you're just wondering, what does this thing do? This is the place to go.
Yeah, so the cookbook that Matt mentioned, I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. So if you go to our docs, we talk about getting started. We talk about obviously the capabilities and features. We have our best practices analyzer, deployment failure analyzer, prompt-based project creation, and of course, custom prompts. The cookbook is really the area that I spent a lot of time on. So these are kind of like recipes that you might fire off inside the AI assistant that allow you to do things. So I was actually testing out a few of these. I actually built out some new ones today. But some of the ones that I was looking at were things like, how do you go about auditing your environment naming and counts, for example? And so you can just use one of these prompts and then fire it off an AI assistant, and we'll give you the answers accordingly. So the cookbook has about 20 or so different recipes, 30 or so different recipes that you can use in the context of in the context of the AI assistant. And so if you're all curious, you can check it out there. That is all under our docs, which is great. This is a blog post from Bob entitled "Focus on Your End Users When Creating AI Workloads." This is a general sort of blog post that Bob talks about distinguishing between two key AI user roles. There are the beneficiaries, and then there are your end users. So the beneficiaries are, of course, the ones who gain the efficiency from the AI. Those are like, your hiring manager versus the end user, which are the people who directly interact with the AI itself, which is like the job applicant. And so Bob talks about understanding and knowing the difference between the two. Now, obviously, there are tools out there like ChatGPT, which sometimes can blur that distinction. So users can both benefit and interact with tools like ChatGPT, but responses that you construct, you have to make sure that you have a keen eye for that. So this is kind of what Bob highlights here, both in terms of the wrong and right lessons we have regarding ChatGPT. And so AI often frustrates end users when it replaces that sort of human inference that occurs, and also the interface itself. Like, I don't know if you guys have used ChatGPT voice, but when it does the ums and ers and all that sort of stuff, it gets kind of like, those human ticks sort of thing. I don't really like it. And then also it can trap you into these really rigid workflows, and there's no way to escalate sometimes in those cases. So all of this is basically to point out the fact that when we looked at building out the AI assistant for Octopus, we were building it as exactly that. It's aptly named. It's an assistant to help you augment, not replace the UI. And so it's those four key use cases that we touched on earlier. And so that's kind of the thing that you have to think about when addressing these things. So any thoughts or opinions on this blog post by Bob?
Not for myself. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but knowing Bob's material,
All right.
there's going to be some really key messages in here. So this will be my weekend reading, I suspect.
Yeah, there you go. Charlotte, any thoughts or opinions on AI in general? Are you using it all for your data analysis, etc.?
I have been using it for my data analysis. It's very, very helpful.
Which one do you use?
Claude AI.
Hey, there you go. We got a Claude user in the house. Awesome. Yeah, Claude is they're the cool kids, I think, of the AI user group, sort of thing. So yeah, so Claude definitely gets props when it comes to code generation. How are you finding it?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I was using another one before, and I found it just not as, I guess, intuitive.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. It's that classic one. How many R's are in the word strawberry, right? So hopefully, how many bar charts are on this graph? Speaking of graphs and bar charts, Charlotte, you had a hand in this one, which was a blog post by Steve entitled How Organizations Measure Platform Engineering. So this is obviously building along the lines of a lot of the stuff that we're doing around platform engineering. We've measured a lot of the metrics around these sorts of things. We talk about DORA a lot. We talk about onboarding success, et cetera, deployment frequency. And I think you had a hand in kind of formulating some of these charts. And so one of the measures we have around platform performance is the need to measure multiple dimensions, not just one. Internal developer platform offer many benefits, so the measurement system should cover all platform goals. And one of the highlights that we found was organizations that measure more dimensions are likely more likely to be successful. And I found that really interesting. There was another report that aligns with this, is that the more tools, not the less, the more tools you use in a pipeline, the faster your velocity is in cases of the DORA metrics measurements that are found there. So just interesting stuff to see there. So these bar charts that we put up here kind of talk about those things. You had a hand in helping create these, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I created this one. So yeah, it's just saying that the more sort of metrics measured is more likely to make you a high-performing team. And I think if you scroll down a little bit further, John, there's another one. Yeah, so this one's really interesting because I guess the organizations that were scoring 71.4% of success rates, I guess, actually didn't measure any metrics.
Oh no.
I guess it's an illusion of success. That was kind of the key takeaway there, because it's obviously
absolutely.
Once you do start measuring, you see improvements.
Yeah, if we don't measure anything, there's no way we can be a failure. Of course, we can't measure if we're a success either. So I guess that makes sense.
That's how I measure like my physical activity and fitness. I just don't measure, and then I tell myself it's really good. So
number of steps, 0. Number of friends, 0. Number of achievements today, 0.
Yep, that's right. It's neither good nor bad. We will never know.
That's right. So anyways, if you're at all keen at finding out more about how organizations measure platform engineering, check out this blog post from Steve with help from Charlotte. So there you go. Another blog post from Steve. This one is on the new stack called Vibe Coding, the Shadow IT Problem No One Saw Coming. This one I thought was quite fun because basically vibe coding is for those who aren't aware, it's one of those things where basically people who have no business coding at all or touching an IDE spend a lot of time writing applications. And so it's called vibe coding because basically you're going along with the vibe, man. So it's a paradigm where the software is generated via natural language prompts, and that's done, of course, with AI. And they describe what the code does and etc. And it's as minimal coding as effort. And like, there's this picture here that I absolutely love. This is the quintessential vibe coder. Of course, everything on the screen here represents the matrix. You can't even I don't know what ID this guy's running, but basically what Steve goes on to say is like shadow IT, which is this sort of IT that happens behind the scenes. Vibe coding is spreading like a really bad virus, and it's going across the entire organization. So you gotta be aware of it. And there's this sort of a lot of rapid prototyping going on. Some would argue productivity. I would argue maybe not. A lot of MVPs are being generated, and of course that means that you're going to see a lot of risks and issues introduced. And so Steve talks a little bit about some of those risks relative to the enterprise. And Oh, no doubt they speak to the fact that there's very little discipline around the art, I guess, of vibe coding. So AI generated code often has a lot of problems. It lacks things like input validation, auth checks, things like that. The usual stuff that you would typically see with a junior developer, like you forgot this, you made that assumption there. This is not really a good way to go about this. Of course, security and compliance come into evolve. Real incidents can happen with these things. So you're getting this, but at a shadow IT scale. So vibe coding is basically empowering these sort of non-IT users to deploy code outside central governance and expanding unmanaged invisible attack surfaces. And so from a security perspective, it's an absolute nightmare. So basically Steve goes on to say that, you got to watch out for this, especially in the enterprise where people are deploying these things. And it's one of those things where a lot of people are, and we tried to democratize programming, but we quickly realized, I guess, in the computer science circles that this is not the best thing to do. I liken it to the quote that I often cite from my friend Richard Campbell, who says, computers are amplifiers. They will either amplify your intelligence or they'll amplify your stupidity. And so vibe coding, I think, will unfortunately amplify a lot of stupidity out there when it comes to guards and safe checks and all that sort of thing. Any thoughts or opinions on this? Obviously, I'm giving my 2 cents, but what are yours?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, love or hate the term, it's here to stay for a bit. So vibe coding, it's great for what it's talked about to do well. If you want to create something in a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days as an MVP, as a prototype, as if
Sure.
you're someone maybe in product who doesn't know how to develop real well, but you want to get your ideas across, that's great. But yeah, I love that Steve goes on to unpack how this needs to be thought about in the enterprise, because we don't want people in the enterprise vibe coding doing the shadow IT thing on the side, because it's just going to create a whole heap of headaches in there at the
So
stage that it's currently at. So yeah.
So this, I was going to ask you, Charlotte. You have a PhD. Charlotte's the smart one amongst us here. I would imagine the vibe PhD doctoral thesis generation is not something that happens a lot. I would assume in academic circles, or is it happening there?
No,
Is this something that you're starting to see in academic circles?
I mean, no. I think that PhD is so long and dense. I mean, I'm sure people do take shortcuts, but it's hard to get it through. And it could surface later with issues if it's not checked at the time. And people,
peer review,
definitely do surface. So, I think for security and compliance and scale, if those things all aren't aligned, then it's going to be a massive issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have some webinars coming up. So just for those folks who are curious, we have our Octopus 101 coming on the 11th. I'll be hosting that. We've got Costas doing 1 of 3, featuring the top Argo CD anti-patterns to avoid when adopting GitOps. So 1 of 3 will be on September 18th. We've got our massive announcement around Platform Hub. Our first preview will be on September 25th. Matt, are you going to be a part of this?
Yeah, I will host this one with a few folks from our product team. I'm really looking forward to this one because we'll be able to get under the skin of Platform Hub a little bit and talk about the why and the how and show off some demos. So this one's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that.
I love it. I love live walkthroughs, live demos, live Q&A. Register for this. We've already got a lot of people register for this, so make sure to grab your seat. And then part 2 of Costas's 3-part series will be on October 2nd. And of course, don't forget about Argo Unpacked, which is held every 2 weeks by Dan and Ravital. Awesome. And we also have a new video from you, Matt. This one is on step templates. What's this one all about?
Yeah, just continuing the exploration of Octopus Deploy. So with most deployment tools, you'll have some sort of library or marketplace of all the things that you can do in your pipeline, whether it's build or release or what have you. So step templates is steps is what we refer to them as within Octopus. Within your process, you do individual steps, and then we've got step templates. So this video just talks about the 3 kind of step templates that we've got. We've got ones that are built by Octopus Deploy and that we fully support. We've got a huge amount that come from the community. Now, some of that are Octopus Deploy staff. Some of them are customers out in the community. There's a huge library of things there. And with those, if you start to use them as well, it's not like you don't have support either. So if you run into a problem, by all means, let our support team know and we'll work with you if you've got any issues or problems. But you can also just raise issues on the GitHub page for where they're hosted. But they're fantastic. And the third type is a little bit more bespoke, but they're custom step templates. So they're ones that you might create within your organization for a specific use case that's just for you, that you want to use internally within your Octopus instance. You can go and build your own step templates that are used just by people in your organization. And yeah, so this video just breaks down those three and shows them in the Octopus portal.
So, Charlotte, I don't know about you, but one of my first experiences to understanding how Octopus worked was actually seeing step templates for the first time. So this was back in 2019. I was like, wait, how is this broken down at a base level? Was your experience the same when you first joined? Because you're relatively new to Octopus, so I'd be curious to know what you think. Is that where it clicked for you? This notion of what Octopus does, or was it something else?
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I obviously got my own little account, and I just watched a lot of videos. But yeah, that was the final thing that really helped me understand it. Coming from a non-tech background as well, so yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, there you go. You can check out Matt's new video entitled Step Templates in Octopus Deploy, which is up on our YouTube channel now. We have some upcoming events as well. We've got KCD San Francisco on September 9th. We've got the Enterprise Tech Leadership Summit on September 23rd to 25th. Of course, we have GitHub Universe and KubeCon, which I mentioned earlier. But Charlotte, we also have CloudCon. You're going to be attending this in Sydney very soon.
Yes, in 3 days. Is that right? No.
Tell us a little bit about this. Yeah.
It's next Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm going with Charlene, also from marketing. And it is an annual conference, and they'll focus on topics like Kubernetes, AI, ML, and platform engineering and security as well. So I'm really keen. It's my first conference at Octopus.
That's awesome. What are you hoping to take away from that? Just connect with customers, have conversations, find out what people are doing with cloud, etc., that sort of thing?
Yeah, and probably a little bit of my research right now, which is just honing in on the platform engineering, seeing what people think about it.
I like this one. Some of these talk titles are great. Golden Paths or Spaghetti Pipelines, the Darth Vader of platformers. I would be curious to see what that one's all about.
They're really good.
Interesting.
And we've got 2 people from Octopus speaking, so...
Yes. So we have Matt Casperson doing a talk on AI-powered platform engineering lessons from Octopus. And then another one from Matt is going to be, I think it's Costas, or no, who's going to be speaking there from Octopus as well? Paul O'Reilly, yes. Yeah. Sorry, Eating the Elephant, how to land and expand your Kubernetes knowledge for a better career. Sorry, I should have remembered that. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, Paul's going to be joining us from over on New Zealand, the other side of the Tasman there. So there you go. So yeah, if you happen to be at CloudCon Sydney, have a look for Charlotte. She'll be there and asking questions. She may want to talk to you about data, etc. So who knows? So another event that you and I are going to be attending here, Matt, is Perth, DDD Perth. We're going to be over in Perth, the most isolated capital city in the world. As I don't know why I mentioned this. This is a useless fact I remember, but the DDD series is a very developer focused series, and you and I are going to be heading over there, and we're going to be also sponsoring this event. So there's going to be 6 of us from Octopus Deploy there, and should have a grand old time, as they say. So anything to look forward here? I haven't actually checked the agenda. Have you?
I've had a look at the agenda. There are a few talks I want to get to. There's an excellent setup here, and I have not been. I know you've done your rounds of DDD in the other capital cities before, but I've not been to a DDD before, and I've also not been to Perth before. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, hey, there you go.
I've also heard excellent things about DDD Perth specifically being a very, very large community-based event. Lots of people coming along. So yeah, there's lots to look forward to for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to be across there in a couple of weeks with yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's not Perth, it's Perfection. That's what I like to call it. So this one I like the idea of going to, leading Gen Z. I'll be watching that one with great interest, actually, I think. So yeah. Charlie, you've been to Perth, I assume?
No, I haven't. I probably
Oh, geez.
No, being in Sydney, I haven't been, unfortunately.
All right. Well, there you go. So a new conference for you and a new city for Matt. So there you go. Awesome stuff. All right. Well, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the show called Support on Friday. All right. This is the show where we talk about a specific thread or a post that's been posted to the advice channel up on our public Slack. And this one is entitled, Hello, everyone. Is there a straightforward way that given a runbook execution with 4 environments selected, to be able to obtain the execution IDs at runtime inside the runbook of all the environments. And so what this is basically pointing out the fact is, like, when you run a runbook, you can actually select more than one environment to run across. And Ben here, who's a member of our team, writes, when you select multiple environments in the dropdown, a new task is created for each environment. So you get, we talk about this thing called an execution ID. It's really called a task ID. And those IDs you can actually reference in our API or through our CLI. You can reference those and query their status if you wanted to. And so what he's talking about here is the UI actually calls an underlying API we have here called runbook runs once for each selected environment. The context of each of these tasks is not shared, but you can grab it via a script and query for that ID if you so wish. And so the environment ID and server task ID is on the runbook, is what I meant to say. So there you go. So the server task ID is against, I guess, equivalent to execution ID. Those are two similar terms. Technically, they're called server task IDs, but that's essentially what you're looking for. And unfortunately, we don't have that built out of the box. But what a shame. Thanks for the answer, Ben. But you can do it in other tools like our CLI, for example. So the CLI itself, this is the new CLI as opposed to the old CLI called Octo. We do have an ability to query tasks. So when you run a runbook, for example, I don't know if folks have seen this before, but when you run the CLI itself, typically in the past, when you would run the CLI and you didn't provide all the parameters that were necessary, it would just drop you on the floor and say, actually, I don't understand what you're saying here. If you don't provide all the parameters, it realizes, hey, this might be a human who's typing here. So let's give them a integrated sort of experience where they can choose and pick and choose the things they want to select. So here I can say run a runbook if I wanted to, and I can say create infrastructure, select the environments that I want to run this on, and then give it additional parameters if I want. I can go ahead and proceed to run. Now, if I wanted to, I could say, show me the list of tasks that are currently running, and I can wait for a task to execute if I want, so based on the task itself. So the command for wait task is we can actually have it prompt based on that task ID that gets back when I execute those commands. And to just show that full circle, if we take a look in here, we take a look at our runbooks. Actually, I've already run this a couple of times already, but if we take a look at the previous runs here, you can see these runs are running here as via the CLI. And so you can see those executing in context there. So just one of the ways in which you can actually take a look at how task IDs, or as you like to call execution IDs, execute in the context of Octopus. And there you go. That was the week that was. Stay tuned for upcoming events. We've got Charlotte at CloudCon. We've got Matt and myself at DDD Perth. Otherwise, you'll see us online or in person elsewhere. Till next time, happy deployments, everyone. Take care.